My name is Liam, and I swear to you, what happened last night was the scariest thing I've ever been through. It all started earlier that day at school when Ryan decided to tell us about the foot scratcher. You've never heard of it? He said, smirking like he had some terrible secret. I shook my head, and that was all the encouragement he needed. The foot scratcher is a monster that lives under your bed. If your feet hang off the side of the bed or stick out from the covers, he'll scratch the bottom of them with his long, sharp fingernail. Some people say you'll just get a small scratch, but others say it's enough to make your feet bleed. I laughed it off then, pretending I didn't care. But as the day went on, the story dug its claws into my brain. By the time I got home, I couldn't stop thinking about it. Was the foot scratcher just some dumb story Ryan made up? Or was it real? When bedtime came, I was already on edge. My room felt darker than usual, and every creak of the house sounded suspicious. I climbed into bed, tucking my feet tightly under the covers. My bed wasn't very high off the ground, just a small gap between the mattress and the floor. But it was enough room for something to hide. I lay there staring at the ceiling, listening. The house was so quiet, except for the occasional groan of the wooden floorboards. My mind began to play tricks on me. What if the foot scratcher was under there right now, waiting for me to fall asleep? A soft sound made my heart stop. It was faint, like a whisper of movement coming from under the bed. My breath caught in my throat, and I froze, my ears straining to catch another noise. Was I imagining it? Or was something really there? The room seemed colder all of a sudden. I pulled the covers up to my chin, my heart pounding so hard it felt like it would burst out of my chest. But the sound didn't come again. Maybe it had been nothing. I tried to convince myself that Ryan's story wasn't real.
But the thought of something being under my bed wouldn't leave me alone. I had to check. I had to prove to myself there was nothing there. Summoning all the courage I could, I slowly reached over and turned on the small lamp by my bed. The warm light spilled across the room, chasing away some of the shadows. I leaned over the side of the bed, my hand trembling as I gripped the edge of the mattress. "It's nothing," I whispered to myself. "It's just a stupid story." I lowered my head, inch by inch, until I could see the dark space under the bed. My heart was hammering so hard it felt like the sound would give me away. But there was nothing, just the empty floor and a couple of old toys I'd forgotten about. Relief flooded through me, but it didn't last long. The space under the bed felt wrong, like it was too dark, darker than it should have been. My eyes played tricks on me, making the shadows twist and shift. My imagination ran wild, conjuring images of long, bony fingers with nails like knives reaching out toward me. I jerked back up and threw myself into the middle of the bed, pulling the covers tight around me. I curled into a ball, tucking my feet underneath me. My toes were safe, wrapped up in the cocoon of my blankets. I told myself I was being stupid, that monsters weren't real, but the tension in the room was unbearable. I could hear my own breathing, shaky and uneven, and the faint ticking of the clock on the wall. Then I heard it again, a sound, faint but unmistakable, a soft scraping noise, like something sharp dragging against the wooden floor. My blood turned to ice. It was coming from directly beneath me. I couldn't breathe. I couldn't move. My body was frozen in place, every muscle locked tight with fear. The noise stopped for a moment, and then it came again, louder this time. My mind raced, imagining the foot scratcher lying under my bed, his long, twisted nails scraping the floor as he reached up to grab my feet. I squeezed my eyes shut, clutching the blanket so tightly my fingers ached. "Go away," I whispered, barely able to get the words out. "Go away, go away, go away." The room was silent again, but I didn't dare move. Minutes felt like hours as I lay there, every nerve in my body on edge. I could feel the weight of the darkness pressing down on me, the imagined presence of the foot scratcher lurking just below. Every sound seemed louder, the creak of the house settling, the whisper of wind outside my window, and my own shaky breaths. Time felt like it had slowed down. I tried to stay as still as possible, hoping the monster wouldn't notice me. My legs ached from staying curled up so tight, but I didn't dare move. Even a single inch felt too risky. At some point, the ticking of the clock on the wall became unbearable. It seemed to echo in my ears, like a countdown to something terrible. I wanted to get up and run, to turn on every light in the house and prove to myself that there was nothing under the bed. But the fear kept me frozen in place. What if the second I stepped onto the floor, something grabbed my ankle? The scraping noise came again, louder this time, and I couldn't stop the small gasp that escaped my lips. My hands clutched the blanket even tighter. I squeezed my eyes shut, trying to block out everything. If I couldn't see it, maybe it couldn't see me. I don't know how long I stayed like that, curled up in a ball with the blanket pulled over my head. It felt like hours. My body was stiff and aching, but I didn't move. I couldn't. The fear had me trapped. Eventually, the sounds stopped. The room was completely silent again, but I still didn't move. I waited and waited, my heart pounding in my chest. When the first rays of sunlight started to filter through the curtains, I finally dared to open my eyes. The room looked normal, just like it always did in the morning. The fear was still there, lingering in the back of my mind, but it felt less overwhelming in the daylight. I slowly sat up, my body stiff and sore from staying curled up for so long. My hands trembled as I reached for the edge of the bed. I took a deep breath, then leaned over to look underneath. The space was empty, just the floor and a few scattered toys. No monster, no foot scratcher. But even now, I can't shake the feeling that something was there. Something real. I don't care if it was just my imagination or not. Tonight, I'm keeping my feet under the covers, just in case.